One day I had a dream of meeting God, but I was not quite sure. I had never met God and never been told about God.
It was very confusing because at that time I was an atheist. But her talk was intelligent. Every time she would talk about God and the details of her life in heaven, how she described it. It was very, very sophisticated, and I knew that at that time nobody else could have influenced her in that way because we led a closed life.
Akiane Kramarik's journey is not just a tale of faith and artistic brilliance. It is deeply interwoven with moments of divine revelation that resonate on a global scale. Among the many connections drawn from her extraordinary experiences is the symbolic link to significant events in modern history, most notably, the rise of Donald Trump to the U.S. presidency. While Akiane's work focuses on themes of love, light, and redemption, some have seen parallels between her revelations and the unexpected emergence of Trump as a leader, emphasizing themes of divine will and unexpected paths to purpose. Donald Trump's presidency, like Akiane's story, came as a surprise to many, a seemingly unplanned turn of events that some interpreted as a reflection of a higher plan. Similarly, Akiane's family, once firmly rooted in atheism, could not have foreseen how their young daughter's miraculous journey would transform their lives and influence millions around the world. Both narratives invite us to reflect on the mysterious ways in which faith and destiny intertwine, challenging us to see beyond the surface and trust in a greater design. Akiane Kramarik's life took an extraordinary turn when, at the age of 4, she had a near-death experience that would alter her path forever. Her family, devout atheists, had no context for the events that unfolded on an ordinary afternoon when Akiane fell gravely ill and stopped breathing. Medical professionals worked frantically to revive her, but her pulse faded, and for several minutes, her body lay lifeless. In those few minutes that felt like an eternity, Akiane's spirit departed from her physical body. She later recounted being enveloped by a radiant, all-encompassing light that seemed to draw her upward. As she ascended, she described the physical world fading into the distance, replaced by a realm of indescribable beauty and tranquility. I was surrounded by colors I'd never seen before, she explained years later, struggling to articulate what was beyond human comprehension. There were sounds and music that seemed to be alive, not like anything on earth. It felt like it came straight from heaven. Akiane's journey took her to a place she described as heaven, where light emanated from every direction, not just illuminating, but infusing everything with an overwhelming sense of love and peace. She encountered landscapes that defied human understanding, meadows that shimmered as if woven from liquid gold, rivers flowing with light, and skies that seemed to pulse with life. She saw beings of immense beauty and grace who she instinctively knew were angels. Among them stood a figure of radiant light, a presence she instinctively knew was God. He welcomed me with love beyond words, she later recounted. It wasn't just a feeling, it was as if love was a tangible force wrapping around me. It felt eternal and limitless. God's voice, as she described, was neither loud nor soft, but resonated directly within her soul. He spoke without words, yet I understood everything. He showed me glimpses of my life, the things I'd experienced and things yet to come. In these glimpses, Akiane saw scenes of heaven, the radiant beings, the light, the love, but she also saw earth, humanity's struggles, and a profound hope that permeated all of creation. God revealed to her that her purpose was intertwined with these visions. When Akiane was revived, gasping her first breath, her body convulsed as life returned to her. The room was filled with a flurry of movement as medical staff ensured her stabilization. Yet amidst the chaos, Akiane's first words brought the room to a standstill. "I met God. He told me to paint." Her parents, Forelli and Mark, both staunch atheists were initially dismissive. Forelli attributed the incident to hallucinations caused by oxygen deprivation or stress. But Akiane's unwavering certainty and the vivid details she shared soon forced them to reconsider. Akiane's descriptions were far too specific for a child her age. She spoke of landscapes that were geometrically and chromatically complex, music that carried emotional depths no earthly composition could achieve, and a being whose presence was so overwhelming it defied description. How could she make this up? Forelli found herself wondering. The most astonishing moment came when Akiane, armed with nothing but crayons and paper, began sketching what she had seen. Though crude at first, her drawings conveyed an otherworldly quality, a light, a depth, a resonance that was impossible to ignore. The experience had changed Akiane in ways her parents couldn't deny. She was no longer an ordinary child. Her focus, maturity, and drive were years beyond her age. The family began to realize that whatever had happened to her that day, it wasn't something they could dismiss or ignore. Upon her recovery, Akiane exhibited an unrelenting sense of purpose. Gone were the playful distractions of a typical 4-year-old. In their place was a child with an extraordinary focus. She spoke often of the visions she'd seen and began attempting to replicate them through art. Her first attempts at sketching were rudimentary, as one might expect from a young child, but even in those early works, there was something unusual. Akiane seemed to have an innate understanding of light, shadow, and perspective that far exceeded her age and lack of formal training. It was as if my hands were being guided, she would later say. I wasn't just drawing or painting, I was bringing pieces of heaven to earth. By the time she turned 6, Akiane had moved from pencil sketches to painting, a transition that seemed almost effortless. Her first major work, a portrait of Jesus, titled Prince of Peace, was nothing short of miraculous. The painting captured not only the physical likeness, but also the emotional and spiritual essence of Christ. Her family, initially skeptical, was stunned. Forelli, who had been the most vocal doubter, found herself deeply moved. It was like looking at something divine, she admitted. The portrait drew attention almost immediately. Local art teachers and critics who saw the piece were astounded by its technical proficiency and emotional depth. This isn't the work of a child, one critic remarked. This is the work of a master. But for Akiane, the praise was secondary to her mission. It's not about me, she said. It's about showing the world the love and beauty of God. Her artistic process was nothing short of extraordinary. Akiane would wake in the early hours of the morning, often after a vivid dream or vision, and immediately begin painting. Her family noticed that during these sessions, she seemed to enter a trance-like state, completely immersed in her work. It's as if she's not here with us, Mark once said, watching his daughter work. She's somewhere else, bringing back pieces of that world. By the time she was 8, Akiane's portfolio included dozens of paintings, each more intricate and spiritually profound than the last. Her works began to gain national and international attention, with galleries, collectors, and media outlets clamoring to showcase her talent. Despite the growing fame, Akiane remained grounded, crediting all her success to God. I'm just the tool, she often said. It's His hand that moves through me. Her art served as a bridge for her family, slowly softening their atheistic beliefs. Forelli, once the staunchest skeptic, began attending church services and exploring spirituality. Mark, though more reserved, admitted that his daughter's experiences and gifts had made him question everything he thought he knew. Through her art, Akiane not only transformed her own life, but also planted seeds of faith in those around her. Her work became a testament to the idea that even in the most skeptical hearts, there is room for the divine. Akiane's divine inspiration extended beyond her art. As her artistic talents grew, she also began to express herself through poetry. Her parents were initially astonished that such profound words could come from someone so young. Her poetry, like her art, was inspired by her visions of heaven, and it carried messages of hope, love, and redemption. One of her earliest works, titled Eternal Whisper, became a reflection of the peace she experienced during her near-death journey. You need to lose yourself in light to find the eternal whisper of life. This poem resonated deeply with all who read it, capturing the essence of Akiane's spiritual transformation and her connection to the divine. Akiane's poetry, while beautiful, was also a means of communication for emotions she couldn't fully express through painting. She wrote about themes like forgiveness, the power of faith, and the beauty of creation. The words come to me as if whispered, she explained. They're gifts from God. One particular poem, written when she was 7, described a vivid scene from one of her visions. The golden fields that stretch beyond, where angels sing and hearts respond. In endless light, we find our peace, and all of earth's pain will cease. These words, so simple yet profound, captured the hearts of many who felt as though Akiane's poetry gave voice to their unspoken feelings and beliefs. Akiane began compiling her poems into collections, often pairing them with her paintings. The synergy between her visual and written works created a powerful experience for her audience. Art collectors, religious leaders, and even skeptics found themselves moved by her creations. Her words, much like her paintings, seemed to transcend age, culture, and religion. Not all of Akiane's visions were serene. She often spoke of the more challenging aspects of what she saw during her near-death experience. Among the radiant landscapes and heavenly beings, there were glimpses of humanity's struggles, pain, and trials yet to come. One of her most haunting revelations came in the form of a vision about a massive fire disaster in the United States. Akiane saw scenes of devastation, cities consumed by flames, smoke blotting out the sky, and people fleeing in desperation. It was a stark contrast to the peace and beauty of heaven. It was overwhelming, she said, but even in the midst of that chaos, I saw God's love reaching out to people. Despite her young age, Akiane carried the weight of these revelations with grace. She viewed them not as curses, but as calls to action, reminders that humanity needed to turn toward love, compassion, and faith. Her parents, however, struggled to reconcile their daughter's visions with their own beliefs. It's hard to hear these things from your child, Forelli admitted. You want to protect them from the darkness of the world, but she's the one showing us that there's light even in the darkest times. Akiane's revelations extended beyond disasters. She spoke of humanity's potential for greatness, the power of unity, and the need for forgiveness. These messages became central to her work, inspiring others to see beyond their immediate struggles and find hope in the divine plan. Akiane Kramarik's art and poetry touch millions worldwide. Her journey from a small-town girl to an internationally celebrated artist and poet is nothing short of miraculous. She sees her work as a testimony to divine grace and an opportunity to inspire faith, love, and hope in others. Akiane travels the world, sharing her story and creations. Her speaking engagements are packed with people eager to hear her recount her experiences and the lessons she's learned. I was brought back to life for a reason, she often says. Every painting and poem is my way of fulfilling the mission God gave me. Her works continue to serve as a bridge between faiths, cultures, and generations. People from all walks of life find solace and inspiration in her creations, whether it's through her vivid paintings of Jesus or her heartfelt poetry about forgiveness and love. Akiane's work has an undeniable impact. Her life serves as a powerful reminder that even in a world often overshadowed by doubt and struggle, there is beauty, hope, and a divine light waiting to be shared. Akiane's story is not just about art, it's about faith, perseverance, and the extraordinary gifts found in divine revelation.